Welcome into this week's edition of the Co-Lin Coaches Show. It's been a couple of weeks since we've talked to everybody. Had a little bit of a winter storm and just been some other delays and those kind of things, but we're glad to be back. Glad to have our head women's basketball coach, Dr. Britta Stephens, joining me now. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And Coach, obviously, like we just said, it's been a couple of weeks since we've seen each other, since we've been able to talk. So we're going to dial it back a couple of weeks, all the way back to playing Southwest at home, the only home Thursday match we had in the conference slate this season. And you were able to pull off a win, a really close win, 57-53. Your thoughts on this one? And I thought it was a really impressive win. It was a really gritty win. It was impressive the way the girls came out and just believed in themselves and found a way to win this one.
Yeah, this was an impressive win, and gritty is a good way to put it. We played hard. We fought. We did the little things in this game to win. Defensively, we were really, really good. We blocked out and we rebounded better than we've rebounded all season. We ran our stuff well. We didn't turn the ball over, and it was a tenacious, gritty win for a team who, by all means, Southwest is probably the favorite in that game because they have 8 sophomores and they played for a region championship last year. So this was one that was very sweet for us, especially here in Mullen. And Southwest is our rivalry. It's 30 minutes down the road. It's one that most people star on their calendar and go, hey, Southwest Co-Lin, we're going to that game. Our crowd was huge. It was a great atmosphere, a great night. And so that one was extra special for us.
So you look at the box score. They outscored you 12-10 in the first quarter. And then you came out in the second quarter, outscored them 16-13. That's how you had a 1 point, 26-25 lead at halftime. Came out, they outscored you 18-13 in the third quarter. So you went into the fourth quarter trailing a little bit. Mm-hmm. Knew you were going to have a big comeback, and you were able to do it. Outscored them 18-10, and that's how you got that 57-53 win there. And probably the critical play was the very last one. We've talked about it a lot since then. Cookie Wilkinson gets in there, gets her hand right in the passing lane, right in the player's gut, and you and I both talked. We knew she was either going to steal it and seal it, or they were at least going to tie it right there. And so we always say big time players make big time plays and big time moments, and none bigger than that moment for Cookie right now. Yeah,
in the third quarter, looking back on that game in the third quarter, they had about a 5 or 6 point lead, and I got really concerned on the sideline. I said, okay, if it explodes, if it gets bigger than 5 or 6 or 8 or 10, it's going to be really hard for us to come back, especially in a game where we only scored 57 points. That's not a high-scoring game. That is not how we like to play. Brent at Southwest only wants to score 60 points and win the game. I want to score 75 or 80 points and win the game. I didn't want to grind it out and play chess and it be a defensive matchup, and that's what it turned into, and I wasn't real happy about that. But late in the game, with Cookie, she does so many things for our team. Yes, she scores points, but she gets so many steals and so many rebounds and so many assists. She brings so much to the table for us, and I knew at that moment either she's going to get the steal and we're going to win the game, or she's going to miss it and they're going to score and it's going to be really hard for us to win. I knew if it went into overtime, it was going to be very difficult for us to win because we had made so many good plays. We had played so well, especially defensively. I think we held them 0 for 19 from the three-point line, which is very uncharacteristic for them, and I credit that to our kids and their defense. They did a really good job. So special players make special plays. She got a special play, finished it, and we were able to pull out the win, and that was a really good moment for her and a really good moment for our team.
And you look at the line score, the two biggest scores for you were Cookie Wilkinson. Cookie leading the team in scoring. It feels like she does every night. 23 points on 10 of 16 shooting. Obviously, again, one of her better shooting nights as well, too. And it was kind of late. She kind of had a little bit of a first half where she kind of didn't get it going as well. But then late, she really turned it on and was really the difference there. And, the other player that you want to give a shout out to, Kyzar Bell. Kyzar probably played the best game of her entire career since she's been here. 17 points, 5 steals, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, and a block for Kyzar. And played a good bit of that game on 4 fouls as well, too. So she just went out and was a warrior for you, like she is pretty much every time she's out there on the court.
Yeah, Kyzar Bell is probably the physically toughest player on my team. She's playing on a torn meniscus. She's been hurt, and there were some question marks when we came back in January if she would even be able to play. And in this game, she was really, really good. She felt good. She played well, obviously, and again, with 17 points, but you take away the points, what did she do? Distributing the ball, running our team. Some of the passes that she makes there, and we've talked about this before, I watch them and I'm like, man, how did she make that pass? Or how did she find so-and-so who was open? So she had a really, really good night that night. I thought Maddie Mitchell had a good night that night. Defensively, she's just her speed and her athleticism makes it difficult for opponents. Cam Pruitt and Jay Robinson, they were undersized all night, but the defensive intensity that they brought to us was just really outstanding.
And then you go back to last week, had the winter storm. You were iced in for 3 or 4 days. Didn't really affect the game for the first part of the week because we were off, but you went to Scuba last week, went down and faced the Lady Lions of East Mississippi, and this one, a little bit of a head scratcher because you start really well, but unfortunately you find you take the loss in this one 62-55. Your thoughts on this one and one that kind of feels like you maybe let it slip away a little bit because you played so well to start the game early.
Yeah. It was a unique week for us. Iced in, I don't know that I would call it that. We got barely any snow here in Weston, so it was just a normal week for us. But it was very cold, which was unfortunate. We had the bye, and we were excited about that because Ky's been hurt. We were a little banged up, especially after that Southwest game. So we were able to give him a day or two off on the weekend and then get him back before the bad weather came in. The East Mississippi loss was disappointing because we went up there feeling like we were probably the favorite to win that game, and we did. We jumped out to such a hot start. We were scoring. We were doing a good job defensively. At halftime, I think we went up and we went in at up 9, which when you're up 9 at halftime, you're supposed to win the game. And we came back out in the third and we just couldn't score. It was an eternity in the third quarter that we didn't score. And then I think you told me before we only scored 8 points in the third quarter. It's very hard to win when you're only scoring that many points. If you're only scoring 8 points in a quarter, you're having to play such good defense. And we do. We play pretty good defense, but we're undersized. So rebounding is always going to be a problem. That's always going to be hard for us. East Mississippi was considerably bigger than we were, and so that became a very big issue, and it was one of the reasons that we weren't able to win the game. Rebounding has kind of been an Achilles heel of ours, and you want to say, well, it's because your posts are smaller. Some nights it is, but some nights it's because our guards don't do a great job of blocking out, and that's something we've really talked about and focused on trying to get better with.
So you look at the box score, and this one came out, like we said, red hot in that first quarter. You're up 21-14 after the first. You had 15, outscored them 15-13 in the second. You're up 36-27 at halftime. That's where the 9 points come from. And then the second half, that really is the difference. You only scored 19 points combined between the two quarters. They scored 35. And anytime you get outscored 2-1 almost in two quarters, it's going to be really hard to win it no matter how big the lead is. You look at the line scores for individuals. Again, Cookie did what Cookie does, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 5 steals. She was all over the line score, but she was really the only one who had double digits.
Right.
Your next best scorer was Cam Pruitt. She had 9 points and 12 rebounds, so nearly missed out on a double-double. So, again, you talked about the post did what you needed them to do, and evident by the fact that Cam Pruitt had 12 rebounds. You would just like to see the guards be able to help out the post a little bit and get those box out so that those longer rebounds, you can get those as well, too.
Yeah, it's very difficult to win in college basketball when you only have one player in double figures. I remember going in at halftime and looking at the score and going, okay, we're on pace to score 80 points. That's a good half for us. That's kind of where we want to be, and we just weren't able to produce in the second half. Kyzar Bell was not good in this game. Again, she's got the torn meniscus, so she was playing on a little bit of a bum knee. Madison Mitchell and Kirsten Haynes came in and stepped up and did a good job for us handling the ball in her absence. And she was able to play some, but she just didn't have a great night. Cam Pruitt had a good night defensively and a good night rebounding, but her shooting percentage in that game was not great. If we could have gotten her to make, two or three more shots, or if we could have gotten another post to step up and make 2 or 3 more big shots for us, that would have helped too. So, overall in that second half, offensively, we just weren't very good.
Yeah, I think you and I talked about it separately from this. Cam was 4-15 in this one. 15 shots is not necessarily what you want, Cam, but if she's going to take 15, you certainly want her in the 9 to 10 makes instead of the 4 makes. You look at this one again, just kind of flipping through it. I think the telling line, we've harped on the rebounds, but it was 56 rebounds for them to 31 for us, and that tells you all you need to know. If you know the sport of basketball, that's the glaring one right there, and that's how you have a 9-point loss turn into a 9-point lead turned into a 7-point loss. Right. And so we go back to this past Monday. You come back home, friendly confines of Mullen Gym, and you play Holmes, a team that has had some adversity. We won't speak much on that, but if you've been paying attention, you know what's going on with that team. And they came out and were just able to find a way to scratch this win away from us. 63-62, had a chance late. Maybe should have had a foul called in our favor there at the end. Wasn't called, even though it was probably called. It was called on the other end. But your thoughts on this one? And again, another game where it feels like it's 2 in a row where you kind of let it slip away in the games where you probably should have won, and you'd be 3-1 instead of 1-3 right now.
Right. The loss at East Mississippi is disappointing. You always want to get road wins, but the loss at home is even more disappointing because the home games are so important for you to win. And this one was really disappointing because we came out to such a hot start. We had a nice lead at halftime, and then we just can't find a way to close the deal. It was a 1-point game, but I don't know if I really felt like at the end of the game it was a 1-point game. Jay Robinson threw in or made a pretty unbelievable shot at the end of the game to cut it to 1. I don't often question the officials, but I do question the officiating at the end of this game. They make a call with about 6 seconds left in the game, a foul on us, which probably was a foul. I don't know that you call that with 6 seconds left in the game. I think you let the kids and the players determine the game, and then they come back on our end, and it's a very similar situation, and they don't call the foul. I'm fine with the no call as long as it's a no call on both ends. Didn't love that, was a little frustrated by that, but also I felt like we probably shouldn't have put ourselves in a situation where we should have been relying on the no call or relying on the foul and things like that, because we did play well again, I said this in the East Mississippi game, we played pretty well for about 3.5 quarters, and in this game, same thing, we played well for about 3.5 quarters, but in that second half, we just could not rebound it. And I don't feel like it was our post. I felt like our post did a pretty good job of blocking out, but our guards were letting guards fly in from the 3-point line because they weren't making contact and get second chance points for Holmes. We got out rebounded 44-31 by a team who was not larger than us. I expected East Mississippi to out-rebound us. They had a 6'3" kid and a 6'1" kid. That happens when you're undersized, but Holmes was not larger than us. They were not bigger than us, and that should not have happened, especially when I felt like it was our guards who got out-rebounded and not our post.
Right. And you look at the box score in this one, in the first half was really a tale of 2 quarters. You came out in the first quarter, outscored Holmes 20-10. They came out in the second quarter, outscored us 20-11. You're up 31-30 at halftime. It's feeling razor thin, but hey, you've got the lead. They outscore you 15-13 in the third quarter, but you're still up by three at that point, and then it's 18-18 in the fourth quarter. But again, those last couple of plays there at the end really were the defining moments, even though, again, like you mentioned, 1-point game, it didn't feel like a 1-point game. Shout out to Jay Robinson. Mm-hmm. She probably had really the crowd going the wildest. I mean, even us on the by the bench, we were all like, did that just happened. That went in. The crowd was going wild, and I think Jay even surprised herself.
Yeah, I think she was surprised too
when it went in. But you look at it, Cookie had 18 points, 6 of 20 from the field, 1 of 10 from the 3-point line. Not a great shooting night from Cookie, but still 18 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. You could floated with a triple-double. Jay Robinson missed a double-double by 1 rebound, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. You also had 10 points off the bench from Kirsten Haynes. I thought Kirsten, that's probably the best game she's played in her 2 years here, and shot the ball really well, handled the ball really well at times for you. So that's something that hopefully you moving forward, maybe you can give Kyzar a little longer break when she needs it and those kind of things. She stepped up in a big moment for you. But your thoughts overall on this one and how you take this one and you move forward as well, and knowing that you've had some players who've shown, given the chance, they'll be able to step up for you.
Yeah, I thought Kirsten Haynes came off the bench and was a really big spark plug for us. She made some tough shots. She handled the ball. She ran our team, and I was really proud of that. She's a kid who has not necessarily gotten a ton of opportunities early, and I'm glad she was able to capitalize on this. And I think moving forward, she's going to get a lot more opportunities because of her performance in this one. She's been with me for 2 years, so she knows what I want. And I love Maddie Mitchell. I love her intensity and her speed, but sometimes late in the game, she plays so fast, we need her to slow down. And that's one thing I know about Kirsten. I know she'll slow us down and stuff. So I thought Kirsten had a really good game. And since we're talking about Maddie Mitchell, I thought she had an outstanding game. I don't know if she scored a basket all night, but it didn't matter because she made people's lives miserable on defense. And she was just fantastic guarding their best player, Nevaeh Craft, who I think is one of the best guards in the league. Maddie Mitchell, I don't know if that kid scored either because Maddie Mitchell did such a good job on her. And looking back on this one, we did get out rebounded, but I look back too and I think about how many layups did we miss. Going into halftime, we have a wide open layup to give us a 3-point lead. I watched the game, and in the middle of the third quarter, we have a wide open layup right under the basket that we miss. Our guards get past them, and we have wide open layups. So I could probably count 8 or 10 pretty much wide open layups that we missed. So in addition to rebounding, finishing close to the basket, that's got to improve, and that's something we focused on in practice the past 2 days is boxing out and contested layups. Coach Ray and I have been getting the pad, and we've just been beating them up with that pad. And I know they're tired of us shooting layups, and we've shot more layups than we've ever shot. And we shoot a ton of layups in practice every day anyway, because those are the ones you got to make. But I told them after the game, and in this game, there's only so much coaching I can do. But if you don't rebound and you don't make layups, it's going to be very hard for us to beat anybody. And the good thing is, those are fixable mistakes. Those are things that we can improve on. It's not like the wheels are falling off the track and we can't fix it. Those are things that we can improve on.
Yeah, I definitely want to say, Bryce Perry and I, when we were watching the game, talking amongst ourselves while we were doing the stats, I told him, I said, man, Maddie has been playing phenomenal defense all night. So it definitely was something that I think anybody who was watching, stood out to him. But you look ahead to the next couple upcoming games. You go on the road this Thursday. You'll go play the Lady Bobcats of Jones, a team that hasn't won a game in conference play yet, been close in a couple, took that Southwest team that you beat all the way to overtime and came up short there. But what do you know about the Lady Bobcats, and what are you expecting when you go over to Howard Gymnasium this Thursday in Ellisville?
The Lady Bobcats record is extremely deceiving. They've only won 3 games this season, but when you look at their schedule, they've played 6 or 7 teams who are all ranked in the top 25. So that is a very deceiving record. They are a much better team than what their record says. This one's going to be a tough one because they're hungry. They're hungry for a conference win, and they've played some of the best teams in our conference. So, again, not only is their overall season record deceiving, but their conference record is deceiving. They took Southwest to overtime at Southwest. So that's very, very concerning for us, because now you've got to go into Howard Gymnasium, where traditionally Jones has been very, very good. They played Northwest and Meridian, who are both really good teams, in my opinion, to 3, 4, 5 points. So we're going to have our hands full in this one. There are a lot of freshmen. They only have 10 players on their roster right now. They don't have a ton of size, so that helps us. We're not a big team. A lot of good guard play from them, so that's something we'll have to do a good job of guarding their guards. I anticipate we'll probably play a lot of zone in this one, because they don't shoot it extremely well, but they do get to the basket really, really well. And so I anticipate we'll play some zone in this one. For us, they play a 1-3-1 zone, a little funky 1-3-1 zone. Our kids have probably never seen anybody play one quite the way they play it. We've got great stuff against zone, so I'm not worried about that. I am afraid of us passing it and settling and shooting too many threes against the zone, because you have a tendency to do that. And so I don't want us to do that. I want us to have an aggressive mindset and still play inside out, because that opens up the three-point line and makes those shots easier to make.
So, and then you look a little bit forward. We can talk about this one, because this is a team you've already seen once this year. You'll come back on Monday, back to Mullen, and you'll host Mississippi Delta. Again, just mentioned a team that you played in the second or third game of the year. They'll go up there. They beat you 62-49. But again, it feels like the team's playing very different from the third game of the year, and I would assume they probably are too. But what do you know about that bunch heading into Monday, and what are you expecting out of the Lady Trojans when they come here?
Delta is a very good team. They started the season like 12-0 before we got into conference play. So they are a very, very good team, very mature team. A lot of sophomores, play a lot of zone and are really good at it. They're really long and athletic. They've got great speed. So this one will be challenging for us. Again, I think our kids will be motivated for this one, because we went up there and we felt like we didn't play our best game up there, and we did not play very well against them up there. But I think it'll be very challenging. Gulf Coast, who most of us feel like is one of the best teams in our league, goes to Delta last Friday, and they had to change the game to a Friday because of the ice and things like that. They go to Delta last Friday, and Delta beats them. But then Delta goes on the road and gets beat by someone else the next day. So I think that's one of the things you're seeing in our league, is that everybody's beating everybody. Teams that we all felt like, or I felt like, all right, this team's going to be the best team in the league. This team's going to be the second best team in the league. Everybody's beating everybody. Itawamba went to Pearl River and won by 1, and then turned around the next game and got beat. So I think the parity in the league, I think that's going to be good for us. We're sitting at 1-3. We're not in a terrible spot. We need the win at Jones really, really bad. I mean, if I'm being honest, and I've told my team that, we need this win really, really bad, because to go to 2-3, now we're right back in the middle of the pack. If we go to 1-4, it just makes it that much harder and makes some of those wins. I feel like the bottom the back half of our conference schedule is much more difficult than the first half of our conference schedule. So if we're not able to go to Jones and win, it just puts a little more pressure on us, and it makes it that much more difficult. Doesn't mean we're not going to make the playoffs, no, but it means we've got more work to do. Right. And that's why I feel like the Holmes and the East Mississippi losses were so disappointing, because if you're able to just get one of those, now you're right there in the middle of the pack and you don't have quite as much pressure on yourself. Right. But I think the Delta game will be very challenging. They're a good team. They're a really good team. In fact, I would say now I could see them having a chance to maybe win the league because of how well they're playing at this time.
All right, I know you and I talked at when we were doing our preview, season preview stuff and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned that was the first thing you mentioned. You felt like the league was really wide open this year, and you're really starting to see that now. And it'll only it feels like it's only going to get even more wide open the longer we play. Still got about 5 weeks left, so still a lot of exciting action to happen for the Lady Wolves and across the conference as a whole. Again, over the last 3, they've gone 1-2. A win against Southwest 2 weeks ago at home. Dropped the last 2 on the road at East Mississippi and at home against Holmes. The next 2. On the road at Jones, at home against Mississippi Delta. Jones is this upcoming Thursday. That is January 30th, and then at home on February 3rd. So looking forward to having the Lady Wolves back. If you can't make it for either of those games, we'll give you the streaming information on our social media channels as always. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator. Stick with us through the break. Coming up next, men's basketball. We'll talk about how they've done over the last same 3 games and look forward to their matchups against Jones and Mississippi Delta as well, too.
At Capaya Lincoln Community College, you'll find a family of instructors and staff who truly care about your success. And not to mention a really fun college experience too. Co-Lin was recently ranked number 1 in the state for student success. So whether you need to start or finish your college degree, take classes on one of our 3 campuses or online, Co-Lin is the place to be.
Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. Joining me is our assistant men's basketball coach, Aaron McIntyre. Hey, Mac, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And obviously, Coach, go back all the way a couple of weeks. Again, it's been a while since we've seen each other because of some winter precipitation, all those kind of things. We're going to go back and talk about the Southwest game. This was a game, it was so close and it was so good. You needed 10 extra minutes to decide it because you needed 2 overtime periods. And I don't think anybody who came to this one was upset when they left, unless they were a Wolves fan because they lost. But you got your money's worth out of this one. Your thoughts overall on this one? And it's a game where the guys had a chance to win it, had a chance to seal it in regulation and in the first overtime, and just couldn't find a way to put it away, unfortunately.
Yeah, we had a really good game plan coming in. We held Tyleek Weeks to 4 points in the first half, and he's arguably the best player in the league. He came out in the second half with a intensity that was unmatched. I think we shot too many threes. We got complacent on three-point line, stop going into the paint, and I think that's the big difference.
So you look at the box score in this one, and Southwest was actually ahead 39-37 at half, a first half that was really kind of back and forth. I think we had a little bit of a big lead. They chipped away at it. They was able to get a lead kind of late. And then you look at the second half. Second half, you had to make the comeback, and you outscored 42-40, and that's how you force overtime. And then in overtime, you match each other with 7 points, and the second overtime was really different. They outscored us 9-3, so a 3-1 deficit there. But then you look at the line scores. Devin did what Devin does. He had 26 points on this one, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals. A really overall good game for Devin. Javian Watkins, JJ, flirted with a triple-double as well, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. And Dakota Hillard, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and a block. And, it really kind of felt like the big difference in this game was when JJ got hurt. Unfortunately, it kind of felt like it shifted a lot of the momentum. Feels like, there were still chances for us to win it, but it felt like when you lost your point guard, it kind of hurt a lot of the things that were working for you throughout this game.
Yeah, he's our engine. He's what makes us go. He had everything going for him that night. No one could really find an answer for him. And him going down, it just kind of hurt the whole team.
Yeah. Again, there's 3 20-point games, 7 points from Chris Stevens Jr., 5 from Prince Ojukwu, and 6 points from your bench, combined Fred Gray Jr., Keyshawn Shields, and Jaden Jackson. And then you look back this last Thursday, you went over to East Mississippi, a game where it says it was 78-65. There were a lot of times where it was a lot closer. It was a single point or single-digit lead for East Miss for a while. I know we had a lead early in that one. It's kind of hard to remember that you had that because it was so early in the game. But your thoughts overall on this one in a game where JJ didn't play at all, but you still like what you saw out of the guys for most of this game?
East Mississippi is a really good team. They play with a lot of intensity. They're very active on defense. They have two huge guards. They're both 6'5". We did fine the first half, got through the pressure, and then second half they really put the pressure on and started pressing the whole game. Turned the ball over a few times. They made a few clutch threes within 4 minutes of the last 4 minutes of the game, and that's what really separated it. We couldn't hit a shot. It's a tough place to play. Probably one of the toughest places to play in the league.
You look at this one, first half, like you mentioned, really close. They were leading 28-27. The second half is where they really pulled away. They outscored you 50-38. And anytime you're giving up 50 and a half, it's going to be really hard to win, especially on the road. You look at this one again, Devin Bates, 19 points, 8 of 23 shooting. You'd like to see that number come up a little bit, but I know there's some times where some of those shots are kind of late. He's trying to help the team out there. 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals along with it. Dakota had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. You had a couple of guys off the bench that had double-digit points. Jaden Jackson had 11 points, and Fred Gray Jr. with 10 points. So you had the numbers you like to see, 4 guys in double digits. Anytime you get that, you like your odds, but this one, it just didn't work out for you.
Yeah, we didn't make enough shots. I feel like Jaden Jackson had a very good game. He came off the bench, gave us some energy, gave us a spark. But you got to have more than 4 guys. And we couldn't make a shot, like I said. So it was tough. Yeah. It's a tough gym to play in. Everyone says it's a tough gym to play in. So that's all that matters.
And really, when you look at the stats, you look at the whole lines. They only had 1 more rebound than you. They shot it just a little bit better than our guys did. But this one, again, the stats say it is closer than what that 13-point deficit said it was. So, despite the fact that you haven't overcome not having your point guard, not having those things, something that you can. Yeah, but Coach Sanders missing that one as well too, being out sick. So, a lot of factors playing against you going into that one, and then. We look to this past Monday, a game against Holmes where it seems like it's a common factor. 3 of the 4 games you've played in conference this year have gone to overtime. This one did as well, too. And in this one, unfortunately, Holmes comes out with a 4-point win. Again, a game where we've talked about it. You had a 13-point lead with 12 minutes to play in the second half, and Holmes just found a way to force overtime and then to win it in overtime. Had a couple of chances in regulation from the free throw line, just couldn't get those shots to fall. Really good looks from guys who are normally really good free throw shooters, just couldn't get them to fall. But your thoughts overall on this one?
They were tougher than us down the stretch. We had them, I think it was 13-point lead with 12 minutes left, and they were just tougher. They kept the ball, they got good shots, and we turned the ball over and got bad shots, so that's the difference. I think we still fought. We scrapped. We played tough for the most part of the game. I'd say 39 minutes and 50 seconds of the game. And then we had plenty of chances to win and just couldn't get it done.
And another game where you had to play without JJ. Hopefully going to see him back soon. Maybe not in this upcoming one, but hopefully the next home game you'll have him back. But you look at it, you had a 6-point lead at halftime. Outscored them 32-26 in the first half, and really came out in the first half. It was back and forth, and then we kind of grew the lead, and I think everybody kind of blinked and was like, "Well, what's happening?" We've got a big lead, and they were able to kind of chip away at it. And then the second half, they just kept doing that. They outscored you 34-28 in the second half. That's how you forced the overtime, and in the overtime period, 8-4 outscored you there. You look at the stat line again. Another one where you had 3 players in double digits. Devin had 20 points, had a double-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds. Got that rebound on the last play of the game. Got the offensive rebound, but you couldn't get a shot back up. 4 assists. One guy that I kind of want to shout out. It's probably one of the best games he's played in his 2 years here. Antonio Otis. Chaz had 14 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal, and he had some really big shots for you, especially late in that game. Had a couple that he took that maybe weren't their best looks, but had to take them because of the situations. But I think that's something he can take and really move forward with. And then Prince Ojukwu, 10 points, 5 rebounds. Maybe this is a game where Prince is going to kind of round back out into form and how he was playing late in the year. So, again, a game where we said Devin did what Devin did, and then you had a couple of guys who, hopefully these are things they can take and grow on and move forward going ahead.
Yeah, Chaz had a really good game. He stepped up big time for us. We're looking for a point guard right now, and the playing time feels wide open, so anyone who wants it can come get it. Prince has been he hit that freshman wall, is what we like to call it, but if he can just get rebounds and make his layups, he'll be fine.
Yeah. And another one that Keyshawn Shields had 8 points in this one. It really kind of felt like here lately it feels like maybe the game is starting to slow down a little bit for Keyshawn, a freshman who could have a huge impact for you if that trend continues and really could help you in JJ's absence as well too. But you look ahead. Unfortunately, it doesn't get any easier. You're 0-4 in conference play right now, and you've probably got to go play arguably one of the best, if not the best team in the conference. You got to go to Jones on Thursday. What are you expecting out of the Bobcats in this one? I know a team that you don't want to say this, but they just went to Southwest, a team that you fought tooth and nail with, and they beat them by 35 on their home gym. So you just say that, and you know it's going to be a tough test going to Jones on Thursday. Yeah,
they're a veteran team. They have 10 sophomores. Maybe 12 sophomores. I know they have a lot of sophomores, and they won the league last year. Player of the Year came back. They have another Player of the Year candidate as a freshman. They're a tough team. They're long. They're athletic. They're big. They're going to be good, and we're just going to have to play hard. We're going to have to play smart. We're going to have to play together.
And then you look ahead a little bit on Monday. We can do this one because, as we mentioned with Coach Stephens, this is a team that you've already played once this year in Delta. The Trojans, you went up to Delta, beat them by 17, and really I don't think it was, you say a 17-point win. It might could have been a little bit bigger, but a game where, obviously they're playing a little bit different than what we are right now, and we're playing a little bit different than when we were up there. But what do you know about the Trojans coming into that one, and what should people expect at Mullen on Monday?
I know that they have Davion Traylor playing like a NBA player. He's averaging 35 and 11 over his last 2 games. He got National Player of the Week. He's a very good big man, blocks shots, does it all. So we're going to have to really lock in on him and make sure he doesn't beat us with 35 and 11. Right. For sure.
And, it feels like that's maybe – if people look, maybe is that the difference right now is maybe the post play, maybe the rebounding. But you look at the Holmes game, and you out rebounded Holmes 42-34. Again, that's a game where you look up and down that stat line. It says Co-Lin should have won this game and played well enough to win. And really, when you look at it, all 3 overtime losses all 3 games that you've lost in overtime, you've had leads in those games, you've had leads late, and you just haven't been able to secure those. And it just feels like if the team can find a way to just get over that hump and find a way to really secure one of those wins and lock one of those downs, that's going to be the big key to everything right now.
Yeah, we have non-freshmen playing big minutes. So it is what it is at this point. Grow, learn from it, become true sophomores next year, and we're going to be a really good team next year.
So lots of unfortunate close losses for the guys right now. So they're looking to bounce back this week as they go on the road to Jones on Thursday, then return home to Mullen and face off against the Trojans on Monday, February 3rd. 7:30 tip-off for both of those, 7:30 p.m. tip-off. We'll give you, again, the stream links for all of those if you can't make it. We look forward to having you on Monday if you can, though. Go out to Jones and support the guys if you can get over there. That's not all we have this week. There's lots of action for the Wolves in athletics. If you look on our website, we have right now that tennis is playing on Friday. That game has been postponed to a later date in April. So tennis fans, nothing else for the rest of this week. But baseball, softball fans, we've got our home openers this weekend. Baseball opens now at 5 p.m. on Friday against Southwest Tennessee, and then they'll play a doubleheader on Saturday at 12 and 3, and then Lady Wolf softball opens up on Saturday against Reed State at 1 and 3. So come on out, come down to Weston, come enjoy some baseball and softball, and then some basketball on Monday. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.